Hello, everyone. Estefania here, aka NFT Mommy, alongside Lauren. I will give her time to give you a proper introduction. But just so you're all aware, there's a few things going on here. We're actually streaming live. So if you prefer to sort of watch the conversation happen, feel free to go onto my profile at NFT Mommy on Twitter and just click on the video and you can watch us interact and have a conversation today. So the reason that we're doing this is just to get a little comfortable of talking to everyone and then also getting to know people here in the crypto sphere while also creating a space and inviting individuals who are not so crypto native to join us, ask questions, and just get to know a little bit more of what we're building in the No Fun Zone. We'll get into a little bit more about what that means, who we are, and why we're doing this. But in the meantime, I'll give Lauren the floor to introduce herself.
What's up, guys? My name is Lauren Wixom, aka at Real Lauren Wixom, for those of you who have seen me on the one and only Crypto Nerd YouTube channel. But yeah, I have been in the NFT space since it's been a little bit over about a year. Yeah. That's whenever I started Crypto Nerd with Monty. And of course, we have the citrus venture going on. And now I'm here with NFT Mommy and also doing things with Boston Blockchain Week. So that's really exciting.
Speaking of Boston Blockchain, that's actually a really good point. So we are actually putting on a Boston Hackathon here with Reach. So Lauren's working on the Boston Blockchain Week part that's happening right before Boston Hackathon, which Reach is co-hosting alongside EZA. So if you're interested in participating as a developer or even just learning more about blockchain and are in the Boston area or in the East Coast, we highly recommend that you take a look at what we're building and who we're bringing on board, because it's a lot of awesome L1s and L2s sort of blockchains in the ecosystem that we're inviting to promote their bounties. So if you're a builder, we want you there. If you're not a builder and curious, we also want you there. So by all means, you can visit hackboston.xyz to register for the hack and learn a bit more about what's going on. And I'm not sure what the Boston Blockchain Week website is. Lauren, do you want to plug that in?
It's simple. It's just bostonblockchainweek.com. Plain and simple. Nothing crazy.
All right. So I am sort of multitasking between my phone and this Restream app. So I'm doing my best to make sure there's no echoes. So we will do our best with that. Anyway, so Lauren, thank you so much for joining me on this effort of creating the No Fun Zone. As many of the individuals here listening have probably been kind of watching my transition and introduction into this whole ecosystem. And I say transition because I kind of came in with the goal to start a DAO, thinking that being a DAO was the thing that I wanted to build, specifically around media and being a zine and keeping people updated about the NFT space. While I'm still passionate about a lot of those things, I felt that it was kind of a little bit too early for at least the demographic that I wanted to target, being women, Latinos, people of color, and usually the underrepresented folk. So I hope that this pivot, being the No Fun Zone, will actually cater to that demographic as well as onboarding the next million people into blockchain, and if not, billion. So here we are.
Perfect. I love that. That's so exciting. Okay, so what about the Elements Guardian situation? Oh yeah. This is hard. Okay, so my question was, what about the Elements Guardian situation? We've been seeing a lot of art with that. Tell us a little bit more about that because I'm super curious to learn more.
Yeah. So basically, this inspiration kind of started from the whole concept of wanting to create something educational and informative, but still make it fun and accessible. So the whole inspiration came. I just unmuted myself on Twitter, FYI, just why I'm starting over. Um, so basically, this inspiration came from like fusing the concept of onboarding individuals who normally wouldn't. Probably just wouldn't go out of their way to learning a bit more because of their skepticism or because they feel that the way that the media is portraying it's not something that aligns with them and their values, right? There's a lot of conversation about how it's not eco-friendly, how there's scams, there's hacks, and while a lot of those concepts are true in some aspects of blockchain, it's not necessarily true for all of it. There are alternatives, and people are constantly working on ways to improve the ecosystem in order to make those problems go away, right? Things don't happen overnight, and sometimes it just takes a little bit more building. Anyway, so the Elements Guardians started as an inspiration from reading the Gitcoin comic books. So if you haven't seen them, Gitcoin has, I believe, three comic books that they've created to sort of showcase and tell the story of what blockchain can do in our ecosystem and how coordination can essentially help the individuals within the blockchain space. Because a lot of what's happening is the building of a decentralized world with inspiration and of self sovereignty. And with that comes a lot of sort of big buzzwords and complicated topics or new philosophies that we're all sort of trying to understand and implement into these new paradigms that are happening in the space. Um, so thinking about that and seeing how awesome it was to sort of characterize the concepts of FUD, concepts of coordination, and creating a solar punk world within the sort of meta world being a comic book in the Gitcoin ecosystem inspired me to also sort of add my own layer of storytelling to this. And another reason being is like a lot of comic books tend to be pretty male dominated. A lot of characters are male. A lot of the women who are portrayed there usually are extremely like sexualized in terms of how their bodies are shown or the sort of outfits they wear and things of that nature. So kind of like bringing my want to reinvent or re-envision how we share those stories while also adding the educational element to it is where Elements Guardians came. Another thing is I also really like the concept that Gitcoin created within the kernel ecosystem. And it's this whole idea of starting with like a why, being very principles first oriented, finding the foundations of like of what it is to just interact amongst other people by asking better questions and just really not forcing you, but like allowing you to just think a little different, right? So the reason I'm calling these characters Elements Guardians is for the same concept of it being sort of the elements are the foundations of everything that we are and everything that we encompass. So I see like the earth, wind, fire, metals, etc. Those are all sort of conceptual pieces necessary for the bigger whole. So the goal with the no fun zone is that you going through the modules and the different processes within the no fun zone will allow you to empower yourself within the elements ecosystem and become a guardian of the blockchain. So that's kind of a long-winded answer for that, but
Wow. I really love that. And I think it's important, especially sorry, my cat's meowing in the background. She wants her little debut to stop. But I think it's super important, especially for someone like me. I wouldn't consider myself new anymore to blockchain, but whenever I did first start, I was always like, yeah, you can Google and you can do the research, but I felt like I was everywhere. I never had like one site where I could go and stick to and learn from there, like form a relationship with a website or with a creator, or just, if that makes sense, like just something that I could rely on, a web page that I could rely on for all my information. So I feel like what you're creating is super, super important and super cool for people that were like me whenever they first started getting into blockchain.
Thanks, dude. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the goal I want it to be for someone like you or someone like my little sister or mom who's interested about getting started but just doesn't know where to start. And like not to discredit or say that there aren't tools and educational platforms where people can sort of empower themselves. Like there definitely
Right.
are, especially now. There's like way more now than there were when I like first got into the space. So it's really cool to see them thriving. But I also feel like everyone learns differently and everyone's sort of incentivized to learn differently. So I'm
Exactly.
hoping that something like this can incentivize people to sort of, I don't know, follow along, or if it's like they want to earn an NFT along the way and this is like their incentive to get started, like awesome. They want to be a part of the bigger story, being the elements world, like, yeah, this is the way in is you have to go through the motions of learning and taking that next step forward.
Yeah, I love that. We're going from play to earn to learn to earn. I love that. All right, let's see. Um, all right, so when do you think we'll have the Elements website completely finished? I know, it's really hard to give dates, but where are we at with the process, I guess, is the question I
Uh,
really
that's
ask.
so funny. I hate deadlines, but they're so good. They're like they keep you honest, honestly. So
No.
it is necessary. Um, so my goal is to do it before the end of the year. But I don't know how likely that will be because right now we're still in the stages of developing the modules. And even with that comes like user testing, making sure that things make sense. Because I don't want to be like full project launch and then there's things that like just aren't essentially getting to the point, right? And I think with that, like it's just growing pains and like part of learning, and that's totally fine. I welcome critique and I welcome constructive criticism at all points. But I'd say like by definitely before the end of the year, we'll have some sort of aspect to the Elements Guardians, and if not necessarily like a full Elements Guardians page, I mean, the No Fun Zone is completely live. You can visit it. It's nofunzone.xyz. We're starting to push out some weekly blogs. I've reignited my newsletter, so I encourage you to go follow that. I'll be
Mhm.
sending that out twice a month. Um,
Yes, go
and
follow.
so those are sort of like the small steps I'm taking right now um, to get there. But I think this is like quite an ambitious project. So it's definitely taking time. And I mean, it's technically just you and I, Lauren. Like we're just building this thing. So
It's us
that's
against the world.
gonna
No, I love it. But also, I mean, no, I love the goal of having things, at least something ready to present by the end of the year. But someone's been traveling a lot. I mean, I've been traveling a lot, but someone has really been traveling a lot. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that? Like your traveling adventures? I know that's mostly for Reach, correct?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I mean like it's been awesome. It's been mostly definitely work related. It's my first year in blockchain, which has been absolutely spectacular. But I want to give a major shout out to friends listening right now on Twitter Spaces before I delve in there. Hey Margaret, hey Lightning. I don't know you, Luke, but hey, hi Ali, and hi other friends. I do want to welcome
Oh
you
my
guys up
God,
on stage
Margaret.
in a bit. So would love to have you guys if you guys want to tune in and like ask questions. But I'm basically giving the lowdown on what the No Fun Zone is and how we're building this sort of meta world of NFTs that are also educational. Uh, so the lowdown on travels and why this is happening. So basically, yeah, it's been pretty incredible. I was hired into a full-time gig in the blockchain space basically a few months into me taking that leap of faith in the ecosystem and be like, okay, I need to figure out how to be here and how to do this full time. And I ended up finding Reach, and Reach kind of found me. And it was this also like sort of mutual love for wanting to create a better world and also empower people through
It was
education.
fate. It was meant to be.
Yeah, totally meant to be. And I swear it was meant to be because like I was literally in Creator Cabins, which is a DAO funded sort of like creator residency. Yeah, that's the right word. And I basically lived there for a month with three strangers, and the whole goal was like figure out something and build it while you're there. Don't think about work, don't think about anything else. And this is like the time for flow. So one day I was at dinner with everyone, and I literally decided, I was like, I need to figure out how to quit my job, and I want to be in the space full time. And that same day, like 10 minutes later, I get a text from a friend. It was like, hey, this company's hiring. It sounds like this be something for you. And I was like, yeah, absolutely. So that's kind of how like Reach and I sort of matched pretty instantly, like the moment I set that intention.
Wow.
And um, I truly believe that it was the universe telling me like this is part of your purpose. And so, which is also why I love preaching the word of Reach, in the sense of like, this is like a tool. This is going to be a huge benefit for everyone and for the blockchain space to be more accessible, because once the builders are in, you start getting more of that like simplified user experience for the rest of the world. So yeah, thanks to that, I was actually, not anymore, I was the head of events for Reach, which is why I was able to travel. So I was sort of planning what conference were worth our time so that we could strategize partnerships and growth, create brand awareness, cultural awareness, and just essentially like evangelize people to what Reach is, so that they know that they can use it as an alternative to all the low level programming languages. So that's led me to quite a few places in the last year. I honestly can't tell you like how many cities or countries I've been to, but it's been quite a few. And next up, we have East Mexico City, which is actually taking place next week. And I plan to
That's
hack there
exciting.
alongside Estuardo, who was actually listening here earlier, but I think he just hopped off. So we'll be doing that and spending some time with her DAO, which is a developer DAO, and a DAO that's also focused around onboarding women into the blockchain space through scholarships. And they sponsor women to go and attend these conferences and hackathons with them.
No, I love that. I love all things like getting women into STEM, into tech, into blockchain. Like, we definitely need more of that, because you're right. Like what you said earlier, it is a male dominated industry. Men, we love you, but we need more women. So I love that. Okay.
I mean,
Well,
I'm going to just plug in Johanna real quick. Just recently, she said that women are the interoperability layer of Web3 and maybe quite possibly the world. And I truly believe that. So I think that in
I love
itself
that.
is
No, I love that.
why women are necessary.
All right. Let me see here. So I have a list of questions to get to know you more, besides, obviously I just asked you about Reach, but um, let's just start with why. Okay, so how did you come up with NFT Mommy? Like, I love the name. Like, every time I say it, I'm like, NFT Mommy. Like, but what inspired you to go by that?
Honestly, it was a joke at first. One of my friends that got me into the space, whose name is NFT Poppy, and so I basically was
I
just
love that.
trolling him, and then it just kind of caught on.
NFT Poppy. No, I love that. Um, let's see. Okay, so we already kind of talked about how you got into the blockchain space. So that was through Reach. So will you only focus on NFT education?
No, definitely not. I feel like NFTs are just one layer of everything that's happening. So definitely not. The goal is to cover blockchain 101 fundamentals, and also start with just like the reasons why or you could be interested, and then delve into other topics like, pardon me, other topics like, I'm just going to let my, never mind, sorry. And then delve into other topics like DeFi, DAOs, NFTs, of course, and everything in between. It probably won't be super in depth in the regards to it won't be super in depth about any one particular topic, but I do want to touch on sort of the topics and how they are associated in the different ecosystems. Because I also don't want to be just one blockchain education. I would really like for there to be conversations about how these DeFi protocols or NFTs or DAOs are actually available in more than just one blockchain. So I think that is also really important. So people can then make their own decision in regards to how they interact with the blockchain space.
I have to get used to unmuting myself on Twitter. It trips me up. But no, I love that. Okay, so hot take. So you're working on, so is it NonFungible Zine or NonFungible Zine? I always get mixed up, and I know I ask you all the time, and I just cannot remember. So we're going to set this right here, right now. How do we say
it? I love it. So it's Non-Fungible Zine. And
okay. So what's going on with that? Why the pivot?
Yeah, good question. So media is really interesting, right? Like it's ideal if you have like a really successful but it's not very easy to like build. You have to think of all the moving pieces, right? You have editing, you have writers, and even a DAO, right? If you want to do it as a DAO, then you have to think about like what's the proper coordination, what's the proper like incentive model. There's a lot of different layers to that are not easy to do. And while I think that goal is awesome and ambitious, I think that there's other people who are aiming to do it. I do think like the main media companies have a lot more funding behind them to get the attention, more so necessary. So, and I also feel like when I first started thinking about that, it was still pretty early. And I see a lot more people sort of now creating their own protocols or platforms that do encompass sort of like what NFT drops are happening and things of that nature. And I also felt like it was just in terms like too early for the demographic I wanted to tap into, right? I mentioned that before. Like there's still so many people who don't even understand the concept of NFTs. So rather than sort of just talking about like the great projects that are being released, and sort of having someone that I know see that I said something cool about this project and then it doesn't do well, or they didn't understand how the market worked because they didn't analyze it. They just kind of like took my word for it. I felt like that in itself was a disconnect. So there's got to be like way more education even before people start coming in and trading, and
right,
in order to like really immerse themselves.
All right, I agree. Well, speaking of non-fungible NFTs, who's your favorite NFT artist?
Interesting. Who's your favorite NFT artist?
Me. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I actually did a video recently. I forget the artist's name, but the collection was called Mortality. It's on the Crypto Nerd YouTube channel. But the art that this guy did was amazing. Like he worked with texture, and it's 3-dimensional, and then you just got all this texture. You could see the shininess of the gold that he used, and he kind of mixed modern art with Renaissance ideas. So he messed around a lot with love and death. There's definitely a lot of skeletons. I promise I'm not that gothic, but I don't know. I just saw his pieces and I was like, wow, this is amazing. And they were actually decently priced too.
That's really cool. Is there a game associated with it, or is it more about like art?
It's just art. I'm actually gonna find it right now.
Yeah, cool. If you could share it, that'd be awesome. If you could pin it on top of the Twitter, that'd be really cool. So I would say like my first love on Algorand was the I'll Go Honest. Honestly, I thought those were amazing. It took the same concepts of sort of like what the apes were to Ethereum. And my first love on Ethereum were the apes because of their community. So I would say like Yoga Labs in that sense would be my favorite artist. But now more so if I am talking about like actual art and one of one or creators, I really like Lance Pilgrim. He's actually been a friend of mine for a long time, and he's created NFTs just recently. And I absolutely love him. I have two like physical pieces of his in my apartment, and like I literally collect art. So like
I love that.
it's my
I can
pride
see
and
that
joy
behind you.
when I have like pretty cool pieces by these artists that I really admire. Um, so those are the two main ones that like really stand out to me. Um, yeah,
I
I'll maybe
find,
make a list in the future of like who I
yeah,
would collect for the long term.
I feel like that would be a cool topic we could talk about in the future. Just nothing but different NFT artists, different styles of art, and I'm a sucker for digital art, honestly. So the artist's name, I cannot talk, is Vlad3, or he's known on Twitter as Vlad3 Design. So I found it on my computer. I need to I'll
I
try
would
to pin.
also love to open up the conversation to other people. If you guys want to come on stage, I know Smokey just requested, but then
Yes. Okay. All right. Let me see. Shall we continue, or did you say somebody was trying to hop
no,
on?
you can continue.
No. Okay. All right. All right. So we talked about NFT artists. So, what projects are you excited to see come into fruition? So for me, I'm super excited. Maybe I'm a little bit biased because I work with Crypto Nerd, but Citrus is one of them. Um, Basically, it's kind of like I like to describe it as the what is that one app called where you leave reviews? Yelp. It's the Yelp of Algorand. That's how I like to describe it as. So if you have questions about different projects, NFT artists, basically Citrus is trying to be that one-stop hub where you can go and you can see people that have invested in those projects and you can see how they rated those projects, and it's supposed to kind of help prevent people from getting scammed. So, but that's still being worked on. But
I love that. I feel like that'd be really cool in the regards to like creating sort of a degen score or like a degen barometer to like invite people to sort of like it basically like it maybe creates some algorithm that would cross reference like what NFTs you had in your wallet and how well they're doing. So like if you have like a rug project in your wallet, it'd be like really funny to like just like have watch your score go down. So you would somehow have to like get rid of it and make sure that like you weren't still holding a bag that like is no good. So
yeah,
that'd be really interesting.
I
But
feel like for the projects, it would keep them accountable too. Because I mean, no,
yeah,
we're humans, we're imperfect, and even though we have good intentions with our businesses, sometimes we mess up. And some people purposefully do bad things and they steal from people, but then there's those that shit happens, and you're like, oh crap. So it just keeps you accountable.
absolutely. I think accountability is something that's really important in the ecosystem in general because we are sort of trustless, but with this trustless world, doesn't necessarily come like just guaranteed trust amongst each other. There's still bad actors in the space, and we should be mindful and aware of that. Um, so, yeah, actually, to answer your question, to go along with sort of media and things kind of like falling into place naturally, I'm really excited for what we're calling the reshuffle. There's actually been no mention of this anywhere online, but Cooper from the Recoup and Benji from Algoanas. So we're actually starting a show called
Ooh.
the Reshuffle, and the whole goal behind that is to essentially like give updates on what is going on within the Algorand space. But we're also talking about possibly adding on some features about things happening outside of Algorand, just like blockchain news in general, and just like kind of hot updates and things going on. So I would say stay tuned for that. And if you don't know anything about it, like turn your alerts on for Algoana. Ben will be keeping everyone posted on what's happening there.
Oh yeah, no, I'm definitely gonna do that. Algona, it's just the classic NFT collection. I love it. No, that's exciting. Let's see. That's all I have for you. That's all the questions I was dying to know or dying to ask. But was anybody wanting to, I don't know, come up on the stage and maybe tell us who are your favorite NFT artists or your favorite projects that you're looking forward to seeing come into fruition?
And I'm going to end the live so that we can focus on Twitter Spaces. So if you're on the live, go to my profile at NFT Mommy on Twitter and join us there. We will be talking a little bit more about what's happening and inviting you all to come join us in chat. So thanks for tuning in.